We are live. Hello, everybody. This is Vida, your friendly neighborhood Climax Consultant. And today we are going to talk all about toys, the kind adults play with. And I mean, well, it's better than Legos. Okay. So today we're going to talk all about sex toys for men and for women and all those laughable experiences that people have with them that nobody wants to admit. Hi, Jason. How you doing? So I have a question for everybody out there. Do you remember the first time you ever bought a sex toy? Hey, Beth. I do. I was 18. I was just old enough to go into one of those sex toy shops, and in the late 90s, sex toy shops, maybe it was just me, but they seemed really sketchy. And so you would go in, and it was a really skinny shops, right? So it would be like you would go in, and there was a counter on one side, and then on the other side of the wall, there was just sex toys. And I was so nervous when I went in there because one, people knew what I was doing, right? I mean, the people behind the counter are so desensitized to it that they don't even care. But yeah, so they're all on this wall. And I remember standing there looking, thinking, how will I ever pick one? And why do they look so freaking big? Like, where are people sticking that thing? Because they do, they look gigantic. And so I just picked one at random. And it was hard plastic. And it was just like straight up and down. And it had a little twisty knob at the end. And I didn't really like it. I was like, this is what people make such a big fuss about sex toys. Because, I mean, I went through a huge brave moment, right, to go buy the sucker. And then it was like, that was a waste of money because sex toys were expensive then, just like they're expensive now. But now they're just like, if you have a box of sex toys in your room, like it's a small fortune. Sex toys and lingerie, you might as well buy jewelry. At least it doesn't depreciate, right? So I go and I buy a sex toy. Hello, Maria. And it didn't do anything for me. And I put it up and I didn't buy a sex toy for a really, really long time. And now look at me. I'm here. I'm talking to all you guys. I have vibrator earrings and I have these crazy podcasts where I try to encourage people to talk about sex. So I've come a long way. For those of you out there that have never bought a sex toy, like it's fine. You don't have to go into those shops anymore, right? You don't have to go into those shops. You don't have to have people look at you. You can just go online. And there are thousands of sex toy websites that you can buy from. Now, the trick about buying sex toys online is you really have to make sure that you are going to a reputable site, right? You can buy sex toys on Amazon if you want, but because of third-party vendors and stuff, you really don't know who you're buying from and where exactly your sex toy is coming from, right? So I have several things to discuss tonight. And the first one was, Do you remember buying your first sex toy? And Jason says that he's never bought one. Has anybody else? Hello. Has anybody else out there ever bought a sex toy? Because for guys and girls, it's different, right? Guys don't really buy sex toys when they're young. They have two and they're good to go. And then when they get a little bit older, maybe if they buy a sex toy, they graduate to like a pocket pussy. And that's one of those stroker toys. Very abundant. Can find them literally everywhere. Companies make just that. So, but if you want to get, if you're a guy and you're like, okay, like I've climbed the top of this mountain and I want to see what else is out there, there are lots of other things besides the stroker. Jason said, I went with a woman a few months ago to one nearby his house, and the only difference nowadays is that there isn't any porn sold in them. Right? Okay. So I remember that used to, at least, I mean, in my state, it's a very conservative state. The porn was in the back and it had cellophane wrappers. Like like maybe it was blocked out certain ways, right? And but that's where a lot of people bought their porno mags or movies, right? Back when people watched stuff like that on VHS tapes. And then right, you hit it. That's a whole other ball of wax right there. We'll have to do a whole other show about porn watching and when we started that. Okay. So yes, there are regular run-of-the-mill sex toy shops still kicking around today, but they are very different than they used to be. They seem to be more sex positive. I mean, I went to one, even in my conservative state, I went to one a month or so ago. Not only did they have sex toys for men and women, and they had all the lubes and they had some like stripper outfits in there, but they also had a no shit sex doll. They had a it's a sex doll. It's one of those real dolls, right? I think it was like $8,000. The price tag was on it. And I was blown away because I had never seen one of those in real life. But it's a sex toy, right? Jason says, if I bought anything in a sex shop, it was always to buy something for my girlfriend. Okay, that's a good point. Women have a lot of sex toys. Like when you think of sex toys, you think of women having sex toys. And I've had this conversation with people before. They get really put out because there's way more sex toys for women than men. But men come every time, generally. And women don't. So there's way more toys to get them there. And good on you, Jason, for buying your girl a sex toy, because a lot of guys feel like it's competition. And we talked about this last time, right? Sex toys aren't competition. They're performance enhancing. It's your friend. Guaranteed to get her there between the two of you. Maria says, Godiva here in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania used to sell sex toys and you could order them at these stores, but they went out of business. That sucks. I hate when a good shop goes out of business. I used to buy a lot of lingerie at Frederick's, so much so that the manager knew my name. It was ridiculous. Anyway, they went out of business and now I don't even really like to buy it anymore because I don't have my shop, right? Like we get used to working with certain people in certain locations, and when they go out of business, it just ruins it for us. So do you go online for those now? Or did it run it for you? As a mother of two, I'm telling you, I buy all my sex toys online. I don't really go into shops, and you have to really think through the purchase, because Sex toys do not have impulse buy pricing, right? It's not like, oh, I'm just walking around this sex toy shop. Yeah, I think I'll buy this vibrator, this dildo, this pocket pussy, whatever. They're not $10 items. They're $100 items, or they're $180 items. Or in the case of the sex doll, right? She was $8,000. And I mean, I know there are some people out there that have that lying around, but if I had $8,000, I would not be spending it on a sex doll. I'd be spending it on someone painting my house, but that's just me. Yes, Maria goes, I remember Fredericks of Hollywood. Back in the day, her friend and I were there. And yeah, it was unbelievable. Oh my God. And you went to the one in Hollywood, California. That's even amazing because like here in Oklahoma, no. It was at the mall. And I think there might have been one at the Tulsa Mall, but it was even smaller. But yeah. And my mom was the one that introduced me to that because Fredericks was the only company around really in the 80s that she liked that had pretty bras for women with big boobs. And so that's where I grew up buying lingerie. And so, yeah, they knew my name. And then it went out of business and they called me and told me they were going out of business. And I was like, I might spend way too much money there if they're calling me to tell me they're going out of business. Jason says he remembers first hearing about the real doll on Howard Stern. Yeah, you would need Howard Stern money to buy one of those. I mean, it's just, okay, so there's those, right? And then they're now coming out with sex robots, right? I saw this documentary, or maybe it was like clips of like some tech trade show. It was within the last year, but they were showing these cyber, like, I don't want to say cybernetics because it's not Terminator level yet, right? But they had these sex robots. And it was like a girl and she would look at you and she would make noise and the guy was he was just showing her face and like what it would do. And everybody in the audience is like, you're going to fuck it, aren't you? Like, that's what you're making it for. So, yeah. And so if a rubber woman, like one of those real dolls or something of that is $8,000 or whatever. So the one I saw was $8,000. But can you imagine how much the sex robot would be? And then how many people are going to end up in the ER? Like it's one thing to end up in the ER because you have self-inflicted a wound or an accident on yourself with a sex toy that's handheld. But like, do the paramedics have to go to an in-service about that? Like how to detach people from their sex dolls when they get called to the house? Does the sex doll hook to your Bluetooth and then automatically send up a flare if you get stuck in it? That's something to think about. Yeah. Okay. So I guess not a lot of people out there listening tonight have bought toys. And this is, y'all are lying. Y'all are lying because if you've ever bought a bottle of lube, if you've ever bought a specific pair of socks, if you've ever done something to get yourself off, like maybe you MacGyvered it, but you still bought a sex toy because your intent was that. Okay. Hey, Walt, are you going to behave today? We are talking about sex toys. Do you remember the first sex toy you ever bought? Maybe not. It's fine. Like I said, most guys don't start off buying sex toys till they get much older because they come equipped with two. Do these ex-wrestling divas that turn to OnlyFans need a coach to show them how to use toys? No. I'm sorry, they don't need you on any of the stuff you have to offer. They're good to go. They're just counting that cash. Okay. So now let's talk about your favorite toy. For those of you that have purchased a sex toy, and even if y'all are not brave enough to put it in the comments, it's fine. It's fine. Just think through these questions with me. Jason says, getting stuck in a sex doll was the premise of an episode of a show called Perversions of Science. Kevin Pollak gets his thing stuck in a bot and has to hide it from William Shatner. I'm 100% Googling that, Jason. Thank you very much. Walt, remember that guy who stuck a bottle in his butt and the bottle broke inside of him? No, I don't remember that, but I do know that at the ER, like all doctors and nurses that work the ER have stories about people that have come in with stuff stuck in their butt. And don't stick random stuff in your butt. Like, I feel like that's kind of a no-brainer. Purchase a sex toy specifically designed for that. They're way easier on your body. Yeah. Okay. You can purchase sex toys in a shop online. You can purchase them from your favorite actress, whatever. Maria says, I've purchased panties that you could eat made out of sweet licorice. Okay, edible panties. I remember the first time I saw those. I was very young. And when I opened them up, I'm like, this is just a fucking fruit roll up. And I wonder how many people have bought those and then just eaten them, because that's the most expensive fruit roll up you'll ever buy. Robe Life says that he has some old Fredericks of Hollywood catalogs and silk robes. Very cool designs. I think this shirt is a Fredericks of Hollywood shirt. I find a lot of their stuff at thrift shops. However, Fredericks of Hollywood is still going. It's just an online shop. Now you have to go do all your stuff online. They don't have physical stores anymore. So if you're really into that, they always have super sexy stuff. That's my unofficial, unpaid plug for Fredericks of Hollywood. Benny says they should make lasagna flavored panties for Italian men. Maybe, or you could just program it, right? You could just not program it, but you could order specific flavors. Like, I really want these to taste like ice cream. I really want them to taste like this. You can order lasagna and then you can report back about how close was it? Because, now they have those jelly beans that taste like all different kinds of stuff. So they could do it. The science is there. All right. So I know people have, there's all these different kinds of toys, right? There are strokers for guys. There's prostate stimulators for those of you that are brave enough to put something in your butt and you're a guy. There's cock rings. Then for ladies, there are, all of these toys are intersex. You can use whatever. There are creams and lotions for everybody. There's dildos, there's vibrators, there's clit suckers, there's, nipple clamps, all different kinds of stuff. It literally is whatever you're into. So everybody has their favorite toy. My personal favorite one is the Hitachi magic wand, because I think it will keep going until the apocalypse comes. It's just I have a corded one that you plug into the wall, and when you turn it on, it sounds like you walked into a barber shop. So it's probably time to get a new one. But every time, guaranteed every time. So it's my favorite one. Let's see. Monte says, as a man, do you get worried the toy will be chosen over the man? Okay. I think a lot of guys do. I think a lot of guys are afraid that the toy will get picked over the guy. But that is a lack mentality mindset. That means that there's only so many times in a person's life that you can have sex. And here is the fabulous thing about a woman. She doesn't have a refractory period. She can do you and the toy. So I don't think you need to be worried that she's going to choose you over the toy. She just might choose you and the toy. And it's not a dig against you. If she's still going after y'all have finished, ask her to show you how she uses it on herself. Because maybe watching her do that will juice you up for round 2. Robe Life says it wouldn't surprise me if dildo boomerangs were a thing. I don't know. I've never seen that. It probably is some gag gift somewhere. There's definitely double-headed ones that make the U shape, so they kind of look like a boomerang, but that's it could be for 1 or 2 people. Jason says, I'm sure if Yamaha made a vibrator, it would always be in tune. Well, motorcycle companies make vibrators. They're just gigantic, right? I know a lot of women that really like motorcycles because of that. Like, they're like, oh, yes, it's fabulous. But it's like the biggest, bulkiest, most expensive vibrator ever. Walt says that AI will make women obsolete. Walt, you got to get out from behind the keyboard. Real women are out there. You'll find one. Okay. Robe Life says, Maria Davis, they've been around since at least the 1940s, but were mostly illustrated back then instead of photographs of the products. Are you talking about Fredericks of Hollywood catalogs? I believe that. Maria says, I went to a bridal shower and there were penises made of fondue, different colors, and some were made with different types of nuts, and they were very tasty. I've seen so many bridal showers and bachelorette parties where they have like different kind of penis things, right? And with my other podcast, the Sex Symbol podcast, we did a sexual wellness event in Toronto, and Hot Shot Chocolate was there, and they had chocolate cocks, and they also had pussies. So you could buy this chocolate pussy, and I guess you could eat it like a chocolate bar, but where's the fun in that? So, I mean, you could just take it home and lick it, right? I think a lot of people did that. And then, so the chocolate cocks, they were like suckers, and they had like regular ones, and then they had the one that was like extra, that was a little bit more realistic, and it was cream filled. So, of course, they sold out. There's no helping Walt. Walt, you're not a feminist. I'm shocked to my core. Okay, so now that we have you all talking, right, and we're having fun, let's look at the top sex toys for 2025. Like, let's do the guys first because they just don't have as many to pick from. It's sad. The best remote controlled sex toy is the Lilo Hugo remote control prostate vibrator. So I know that there are a lot of men that are very hesitant. Like, they want to stick it in everyone else's ass, but they are very hesitant about having anything stuck in theirs. But that's where your prostate is. And a lot of people, when they finally get brave enough and they do prostate play, really, really like it. And so a lot of guys' sex toys now are prostate toys. And they make them, they have starters that are smaller all the way up to big ones. It just depends on where your comfort level is. Just like for regular butt play, anal plugs, stuff, anything that goes in your butt, they have different sizes. And so you can get a set for him and her, and then y'all can both try it out. The best non-vibrating cock ring is the Blush Wellness Purple Geo Silicone C-Ring. So has anybody out there tried a cock ring? I'm curious. I've seen them used in the wild, and it just looks painful. And I just kind of want to rescue it, right? Because they're supposed to hold the blood in, right? So that you get a stiffer erection, or it helps you like last longer. But I'm like, oh, just it makes me hurt for you. But then again, I don't have those parts, so I don't know. Did I ever milk the prostate? I have not. That is one thing I have not done. I've read about it. I have seen it done, like in a movie, but I have not done it. But again, if you're sticking stuff in your booty, then you're not going to get your prostate milked. It's just not. Because it's like, okay, so, you know, when like men have trouble finding, some men, not all men, have trouble finding the clit, and definitely have trouble finding the G-spot. But to get in there, right, to even attempt to find it, you have to look at it. You have to put your fingers in it. You got to feel around. That's what you have to do for the prostate also, right? So just putting that out there. It takes a little exploration to hit the right spots. Jason says, things like that can be dangerous on a penis if they're too tight or left on too long. Oh, like for cock rings? I agree. Honestly, okay. Cock rings give me anxiety because I'm afraid. I'm afraid for you. Like, I just don't think we need it. I think we can have fun without it. So yeah. But some people really, really like them. And if that is your bag and you're new, or if you're new to it, I always tell people start with the silicone ones that you can get off of you, right? Like, but some people are like, especially like the metal ones. Oh my gosh. I'm like, I know for a fact that paramedics have been called for that. Yeah. Walt says his sex toy is a stun gun so he can get her out of his house. Walt, I mean, you really are making this too easy, but okay. So on the chance that you got a girl in your house, is she there of her own free will? And don't use a stun gun on her. She probably will just go on her own, right? But again, you have to talk someone into going in there first. So, and I am just having good-natured fun, so don't get offended. All right. Let's see. Yeah. The number one thing on guys' sex toys is strokers. Now, for strokers, they have pussies, they have assholes, and they have ones that look like mouths. And I know the really popular brand of strokers are the Fleshlights. And we have several, we've used them, and they have different like tensions, right? Depending on the inside. It really doesn't matter what the outside looks like, what hole you're fucking, because the inside is where you're getting all your friction. Walt says he's somewhat consensual. That's scary. Respect the no, Walt. Jason says, I was always skeptical about the over-the-counter aphrodisiacs that were sold in sex shops. I've heard of some bad reactions. Yeah, I wouldn't do it, Jason. I mean, honestly, you can go to your doctor and tell them that you're having some trouble, and they'll give you enough Viagra to, like, you know, I don't know. I lost a joke on that one, but they'll give you a lot of it. They'll give you enough to last your lifetime. You'll be fine. And that's like, you know, medically approved. It wasn't made in some back room somewhere. There are a lot of creams, though, that you can use on him and her that like increase blood flow and make it more sensitive. So there's that. Monte and the Pharaoh say, please explain if certain certain vagina types are very hard to make orgasm, or is that a fairy tale? I think it's a fairy tale. I don't think that certain types of vaginas are harder to make come. I think you have to start with a woman's mind. If she's not there mentally, she's not going to be there in her vagina either. So guys are more primal brained. If they're lucky enough to get invited to the big show, they are task oriented, and that is their goal, is to have an orgasm. And women are not built like that. You just have to kind of figure out, and you can just ask, like, this is 2025, just ask her. And if you want to make it sexy, you can say, baby, show me how you touch yourself when I'm not here. Or, hey, baby, why don't you get out your toy and use it? I want to watch you. Like, you can do all these things to figure out how she wants to be touched. Because here's the other thing. Is it guys that are having a hard time making her come? Or is she also struggling to make herself come? Because most women can make themselves come. And if she can do it, you can do it. Walt puts the lotion in the bucket. Yeah, I think we need to go check his basement. Jason says the aphrodisiacs were for extra stimulation, not for ED. Okay, so good point. Extra stimulation, I would do creams and lotions before I took a pill. Because here's another thing that I have figured out just from working out. If your pre-workout has enough vasodilator stuff in it for your pump, it increases blood flow to all areas of the body. So like when I take pre-workout, it increases blood flow to, so sex is really good. I take a lot of pre-workout. All right. Am I really going to say your name? Range Balls said, he did Hims chewables, definitely helps if you're over 40, works to make sex more enjoyable for everyone. That's good. There's lots of stuff like that. There's stuff for her. Like Hims is, I think Hims has good products. If those of you that are curious, look at Hims. I think it's hims.com, but if you'll just Google it, it will pop up. There's a Hims and Hers, and they sell things for like, Hims sells things for men's health. I think they sell sex toys also. And then Hers does similar stuff, right? But it's just geared for each other. Sugar Plum says, I can't orgasm with clit action. Whoa, without clit action. Okay. This is my teachable moment. All right. So, did you hear her say she can't come without clit action? Not every woman is like that, but most women are. Find the man in the little boat. And if you find the man in the little boat, right, like here, like that right there. When she gets turned on, it will stick out because the clit is made of erectile tissue. And that is just the tip of the iceberg. because a clitoris is actually built like a wishbone. If you've seen wishbones on Thanksgiving, right? There's a stick and then there's the legs. So underneath her lips are the legs of her clit. So all around the taco, she is sensitive. It's just most sensitive on the doorbell. Okay. So explore and ask questions, right? Okay. But you have to understand your person. They may not want you to ask questions like a scientist. They may show me where it feels the best, right? Nobody wants to answer a bunch of in-depth questions while they're having sex. Show me is a good deal. And if she's moaning more when you hit like a spot, like that's generally a good indicator, but ask, like just be direct and ask. Walt says, I don't put the child support in the buckets. Again, shocker. Jason says, what are your thoughts of having sex on MDMA, ecstasy, and have you ever done it? I have not done it. And here's the thing. I don't drink and I don't do drugs because I don't like to be in my right mind if I'm going to be vulnerable. And so on the occasion that I have like a drink, and it's an occasion, right? If I have a drink, I feel really good if it's just a buzz, and sex feels different if you have tipsy sex. Some people do edibles and do that, whatever is good for you. I know some people really, really like that feeling. I think it's okay as a treat. I don't know about MDMA because I've never done that, so I don't know. But I know like tipsy sex is good once in a while, but oh, I'd rather you get me there while we're all sober. So, I mean, that's just my take on it. But I have seen lots of people really like that stuff. Walt is a hermaphrodite. Oh. I don't even know how to respond to that. Plus Walt's heart. Okay. Range Balls says, it's way harder to have intimacy with your wife after she has a kid. She just has a low self-esteem. What kind of toy can boost her drive? She doesn't feel like she's as good looking anymore. Okay, so I have questions, right? Is it hard for her to get in the mood because she doesn't feel sexy? Is that the hang up? And because most women, and how old is y'all's kid? Because so women are pumped full of all kinds of hormones while they're pregnant. And then when you have a baby, it's like a period times 400. Those hormones that were in her have come to a screeching halt. And so her body is recovering. So she's overwhelmed, she's overtired, and she's exhausted with everything. And she probably is worried that she's fucking up y'all's kid. So it's really hard to get in the mood when all that is floating around in your head. So you're going to have to do some groundwork if you want sex. And honestly, sex needs to just be the bonus. It doesn't need to be your whole mission, right? It just needs to be the bonus. You need to, if you can, you'll need to get a babysitter. You need to take her away for a day at least. And you need to woo your woman, right? You need to tell her how beautiful she is. You need to get her some rest, for fuck's sake. And then maybe after rest and having a break from all of that, and maybe you tell her you're pretty, and maybe just cuddle her. This is what I'm saying. It's going to take some work. You're going to have to put in the work. Sex is not a given. But if you ever want to get back in the game, you're going to have to put in the work. And when she finally gets there, she'll stay there because you've helped her get there, and also help with the kid, right? That's just my opinion. All right. Walt says real men should not be obsessed with pleasing a woman. It's supposed to be the other way around. Walt, have you ever touched a booby? I'm curious because I feel sorry for the women that you've dated. I hope Jamie Dundee isn't watching. I don't know. I don't know who that is, but I hope they're not watching either. Is it wrong to envision Walt's mom during sex? Okay. I mean, you do you. People envision their coworkers. People envision celebrities. If you think about Walt's mom, I mean, lots of people want to fuck moms. Range Ball says, yeah, that's probably true. Get her some rest. We need a vacation. And on that vacation, I don't need to piss her off. 100% true. Like, and here's the thing. It is harder for her to get in the moment if y'all's kid, like if she can hear, like y'all need a vacation, just the two of you. And like I said, sex doesn't need to be the mission. It needs to be the bonus. The mission needs to be taking care of your wife. And then sex will happen, right? But if y'all go on vacation and you take the kid, she's just managing the kid the whole time and you're not going to get sex. Walt said his mom has died, but that's okay. But I'm sure they've seen pictures, Walt. I'm sure they're not imagining her dead. So, okay. Last thing, super important. Well, it's not the last thing, but always charge your toys. Okay, because there's nothing worse than being in the middle of a play session and being almost there, and then your toy dies. It makes you so angry. It makes me angry. It's like the closest I come to hulking out. Like I'm so mad. So make sure you charge your toys. And then real quickly, because okay, Men's Health was the article where I found the best sex toys for men, according to sex editors and experts. Okay, so look that up. That was published February 10th of 2025. But let's look at the women's. This is the top 25 best sex toys for women, according to Cosmo. And the number one best clitoral sex toy is called a Lilo Dot. And it looks like a little teardrop. And in the middle of the teardrop, there's like a hole where you can like hold on to it. And honestly, it's $189 on the Lilo site. And that's what I'm talking about. Sex toys are so expensive. It is an investment, but orgasms are important. So how much do you want to orgasm? Is it worth $189? It would be to me. All right. The second best sex toy, and this is the best sex toy for squirting. It's called Tracy's Dog OG Sucking Vibrator. And that is only $59. So that's a good deal. $59 for an orgasm, a squirting orgasm at that. And then the best couple sex toy is We Vibe Chorus. And it looks like a little clamshell and it goes inside you and then it sits on top and then it vibrates for both people. You can actually wear it while you're having sex. Those are really fun. Partner toys are fun. That one is $209. Again, sex toys are expensive, but I love We Vibe toys. We Vibe toys are so good. And but they're expensive. One of my favorite We Vibe toys, like they make a long distance one, like it's a Bluetooth one. So like you can get a vibrator and you can give someone the code, and then wherever they are that their cell phone has service, they can mess with it and it makes your vibrator go off. So it's really good for long distance people or business trips or movie dates, whatever. But it's fun. And that is really the whole thing, right? Sex, sex toys, the lead up, the conversation, all of that stuff. This is how, well, it's not the only way, but it's how adults play. And people forget to have fun with it. It becomes a mission, and orgasm is the only goal. And nothing takes the spice out of something faster than making it a chore and making it only have one outcome. So I want you guys to go out there. I want you to have fun. And okay, well, I want you to guys to go out there. I want you to have fun. I want y'all to stay away from Walt because I think he's a problem. And I want you to charge your toys. Charge your toys so you don't get in the middle of the best orgasm you ever had and your toy quits right before you cross the finish line. It's the worst thing ever. And come back next week and ask me more questions. I love talking to you guys. So have fun, be safe, and I'll see y'all next week. Bye.